Well, I can tell you a little story. As far as skipper goes, it affected the entire life of Sonny Hickam, of Butch Harper, and of George Fox. It was because of what we did with skipper. Sometimes you might think it's the college education. Okay, that might have a little part of it. But there's always one little thing that'll happen to you in life. You never know when it's going to come. You never know what it's going to be. But when it comes along, it charts the rest of your life. And for Skipper, that was what happened with the three of us.
Butch Harper, George Fox, and Sonny Hickam created a tradition within the Corps of Cadets, the university, and a sound synonymous with Virginia Tech football, one they had no intention of starting.
It's all about rivalries, and football is huge for Virginia Tech, and it was in the 60s.
Well, the idea came about in 1962 at the VMI-VPI football game. What happened, it was a military classic of the South. Both corps marched down the streets of Roanoke into the stadium, formed in the center field just like Army-Navy.
They had a cannon, they called it Little John, and when they played us, after they scored, they would start chanting, "Where's your cannon?" because we didn't have one.
And when they did that, Sonny Hickam and I looked at each other and said, that is the last time that's going to happen. That was the beginning of Skipper.
And with the brass from the classes 64, 65, 66, and 67, which are inscribed on the barrel of the original Skipper.
Took it to a local foundry. It was actually run by a Corps Cadets graduate of 37, and he, free of charge, made Skipper the first Skipper cannon.
And it got its name Skipper after JFK was assassinated, and they did an honorary 21-gun salute for him on the side of the highway, actually, as they were driving to take the cannon to the game.
They brought it to the next VMI game, and when they started chanting, "Where's your cannon?" they brought it out, and they probably put a little bit too much powder in for that first shot, but they let them know that we had a cannon.
In fact, it's the biggest cannon in the state of Virginia, and one that is an essential part of Hokie football.
So Saturday morning, we show up several hours before the game.
We have different positions on Skipper crew.
Oh, it's changed tremendously. I mean, these guys are so sophisticated. It takes, I don't know, 10 or 12 of them to fire the cannon. It was 3 of us, basically.
We send the powder specialists to go get powder.
To roll charges for the game, and depending on the opponent, we'll get a brief estimate of how many shots we think we're going to fire.
They're much safer than we were back in the day. The firing mechanism is incredibly safer than it was back in the day. I mean, when we created Skipper, our firing mechanism was a half a pound of superfine black gunpowder in a ketchup bottle with the cherry bomb fuse sticking out of the top.
And we'll run down to Hokie Village, which is right across from Lane Stadium.
Which is, it's kind of like a family-friendly tailgate setup. And it's a great time. A lot of families, kids will come up and talk to us and get pictures with us.
Then we go into the stadium, fire for the national anthem, which is an awesome experience.
After that shot, we'll move on to the practice field, and that's when we're by ourselves. It's family time. We're tailgating. We have people on the can. We have people actually in the stadium on the field letting us know when we score a touchdown or field goal, so we can actually fire the cannon.
It's pretty fast-paced and intense day, but I mean, it's a lot of fun.
I mean, what it's grown into is amazing.
Growing into a crew that only a few freshmen can join each year.
As freshmen, we're all trying to find our place here in the Corps Cadets.
I actually did something that a lot of people can't get on. And you made it on, and now you're part of this tradition that carries back for so far.
One of the biggest reasons that I did it was just I am absolutely in love with the idea of doing it for those who came before you, and the founding fathers of Skipper Crew, I mean, their legacy went far beyond what they did here at Virginia Tech.
It's all about family. They were a family when they started it. We're a family now as we're doing it together. So just having that commonality is awesome.
You know, when you meet somebody that was on Skipper Crew, there's that immediate feeling of family, and you feel like you've known them for a while, even though you just met them, and you start sharing stories. I'd say that what we do now is probably a little bit safer than what Skipper Crew has been before, but it's really cool just seeing how far back that tradition goes, and also how much has stayed the same.
35 years later, we decided to come back to a football game at Virginia Tech. It happened to be 1999. the year that Virginia Tech lost no football games and played for the national championship. However, when I came into the stadium and sat up in the stands and saw them pull in Skipper, I was astounded. It was an emotional moment because the three of us that created Skipper had absolutely no idea that what it would mean to the university that many years later. And truly now, 54 years later, it's become a fabric of the spirit of the university.
It's a tradition that will forever be a thread in the history of the Corps of Cadets and Virginia Tech.
It's just unbelievable. Now, we were just three guys having fun and trying to get back at that time at VMI. And it turned into this, and we just love it, every minute of it.
Tradition plays a huge part in Skipper Crew. Unfortunately, recently George Fox passed away, one of the three founding members of Skipper Crew, and that hit Crew pretty hard because he was the whole reason that this organization got started. For us to continue on what he started is huge, and I know that all of us are extremely lucky and we owe a lot to the people before us.
That little thing that comes along in life that sets the chart of the rest of your life, because each of us ask what made us the happiest and what were we doing when we were the happiest, we determined that was Skipper.
Each of the Skipper's founders went on to do great things. Butch went into advertising and created the Thunder over Louisville. George fulfilled his dream of working for General Electric. And Homer went on to work for NASA and authored Rocket Boys, which was turned into the movie October Sky.